Space Jam: A New Legacy hits theaters this weekend. We have got the first critic reviews. We're going to be reading them for you right now on Chuckload of Comics. Hey guys, welcome back to a very special edition of the Chuckload of Comics show, your source for geeky news, nerdy headlines, movie reviews, comic book talk, everything happening in the world of fandom. We break it down right here, not only on YouTube, but also on the brand new chuckloadofcomics.com. If you haven't been over to the new website, do yourself a favor, head on over there. There's way more news, way more interviews, movie reviews, comic book talk at chuckloadofcomics.com. So we hope you will check it out. Today's story, Space Jam: A New Legacy, hits theaters this weekend, and the first reviews are in. Let's take a look. Space Jam: A New Legacy, which stars LeBron James in the lead role, taking the place of Michael Jordan from the original 1996 Space Jam, is directed by Michael D. Lee and produced by Black Panther director Ryan Coogler. To say the reviews of this movie are mixed is, in my opinion, mathematically very sound, as the film currently has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, which means half the critics liked it, half the critics did not like it. The film has been shown to a small handful of critics in Australia and New Zealand, and since there's only 8 reviews currently out there, we figured we would read all of them for you and let you decide if this changes your excitement level for the films. Let's go ahead and get started with the positive reviews, shall we? First review comes from Graham Tuckett, who writes, "There is a very real sense that Space Jam: A New Legacy is a love letter to the movies and to the people who make them." Next one comes from Anthony Morris, who writes, "It works thanks to a fast-moving plot, a decent dynamic between father and son, Don Cheadle clearly having a lot of fun, and a final game that for some reason has Warner's most cartoony bad guys in the audience, whether they're kid-friendly or not." Third one comes from Hagan Osborne, who writes, "What is most thrilling about A New Legacy is the liveliness of the worlds created, with each destination carrying with it a varying style of animation that brings with it added freshness." And finally, Dave Lee writes, "An absolute slam dunk. I saw what you did there, Dave Lee, and I approve. An absolute slam dunk, loaded with Easter eggs, classic tune gags, and a punch of nostalgia. Fans of the original will have a blast, while new audiences will be blown away by the modern spectacle as it moves in bigger and bolder directions." Definitely more eye-popping of a film, I think, just based on the trailers. You know that they move from sort of single-cell animation to 3D animation. It just looks haywire from a colorful technical standpoint. So those were some pretty positive reviews. Let's take a look at some of the negatives. First one comes from Winley Ma, writes, "It's hard not to feel like you've been swimming in some Warner Brothers marketing executive's wet dream for 2 hours. That's disgusting." Next one comes from Peter Gray. "Mostly child-friendly fare that proves a colorful, inexplicable distraction that's unlikely to retain, ironically, any of the legacy for itself." Very clever, Peter Gray. Next one comes from Doug Jameson, who writes, "Splashes of nostalgia and homage can be a wonderful thing, but this sequel rarely takes the time to stand on its own 2 feet." And finally, Luke Buckmaster, love your name, Luke Buckmaster, writes, "To get to the final message about what really matters, we are required to sit through the sensational whoop-de-doo of the big game, which seems to go on for an eternity." I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. I think people want to see a nice, long, big game. I mean, for crying out loud, it's LeBron James playing alongside Bugs and Babs Bunny and all these people. I think it's going to be... I don't think people are going to be upset because you give them a lot of a ball game at the end of the film. So I don't know, guys. What do you think? Does these reviews, do they move your nerd needle one way or the other? Does it change your excitement level for the film? I am not excited about this film. I'm not a fan of the original one. I don't hate it. I just didn't really grow up watching it. It doesn't hold that, nostalgia that a lot of these critics mentioned. But what do you guys think? Were you a fan of the original? Are you excited about this one? Did the trailers change your excitement level? Did these reviews change your excitement level? Please sound off in the comments section. We'd love to hear it. So that's all we got right now, guys. Please take a second, click the subscribe button here on YouTube, and definitely head over to chuckloadacomics.com for nerd news just like this every single day, every single hour over at chuckloadacomics.com. So that's what we got, guys. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you here next time.